get it. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SchuZ Show. Hopefully you guys are off to a phenomenal or having a phenomenal Thursday. And if you guys are tuning in on Friday, hopefully you guys are having a great Friday and start to your guys' day as well. All right, with that being said, though, today's not going to be a very long show, but we still have a lot of stuff to get into on today's show. And then as well, if you guys have any comments, topics, or questions you guys want me to address on tonight's show, make sure to leave it in the chat, and I'll always make sure to break those down for you guys and answer them. Your comments will also pop up on the screen as well. Beyond that aspect, make sure if you're tuning in on YouTube to hit the likes button. I always appreciate that. It definitely helps the show a lot. All right, so we're good to go. I had to make sure we had audio there. But let's get right to it, though, because there's a lot of stuff I want to get into on today's show. A few things to recap before we get into tomorrow's big show, which is going to be a more extensive show featuring breakdowns of the massive fight going down between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. So stay tuned for that one on tomorrow night. But without further ado, let's get right to it, though. I want to kick it off with this. This whole week so far has been pretty much talking about the Vergil Ortiz beatdown of Erickson Lubin, of obviously us wanting to see the Drawn Boots Ennis fight, so on and so forth. And we found out news earlier in the week, and I gave my thoughts on that Vergil Ortiz is in a position where he's supposedly okay with and actually would prefer a fight with Errol Spence as opposed to Drawn Boots Ennis. Now, I've given you guys my thoughts on that. I think if he does that, it's going to look really bad on him. It's going to be a duck. I think a win against and a fight against Drawn Boots Ennis sells significantly more. And on top of that, I think it also does a lot more for your resume. No doubting Errol Spence's resume is phenomenal, but Errol Spence has not fought since he was beat down by Terrence Bud Crawford at 147. He's now at 154, doesn't have much there, has not fought in the ring for a long time. That win does not mean as much as a potential Boots Ennis fight win does do. But let's just keep it 100%. I don't want to watch Errol Spence Jr. and Vergil Ortiz fight. I don't. And it's not that that fight would be a horrible fight. It's that, listen, we have one of the best fights in all boxing on the table right now between Vergil Ortiz and Drawn Boots Ennis. So if that's already in negotiation, we already have been hyped up to go have that fight go down in 2026. Why would I all of a sudden want to settle for something significantly less appealing as in a fight with Vergil Ortiz and Errol Spence Jr.? I don't want that fight. Don't get me wrong. Is it going to be an interesting fight? Would Errol Spence and Vergil Ortiz still sell well? Would it be a massive, historic Texas showdown between two Texas icons? No doubt about it. But do I want that fight right now? No. Vergil Ortiz would do an easy work on Errol Spence Jr. unless Errol Spence Jr. has somehow found something special within himself as he's been outside of the ring for a long time now. I don't want to see that fight happen. If the Boots Ennis fight happens and then Vergil Ortiz wants it, sure. But I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I want to go out there and watch Vergil Ortiz Jr. and Errol Spence fight each other when we have already been built up and have had excitement about a possible Boots Ennis and Vergil Ortiz fight. It just makes no sense. And so that's my position on this. I don't want to see that fight simply because of the fact that, listen, we all want Boots Ennis, Vergil Ortiz. Make the fight happen. The only exception I would possibly give for Vergil Ortiz is if he has a fight lined up to go fight Sebastian Fundora for a world championship. The reason I say that is because Boots Ennis, on the other hand, has an easy pathway to 2 or 3 of the world championships. Baca Mertzavaliev, Josh Kelly winner, as well as the Bas Barao and Xander Zayas unification fight winner. Both of which he's either mandated for the unification fight or Eddie Hearn's connection gets him the Baca Mertzavaliev fight. So when you put all those things together, if you possibly go become a world champion if you're Vergil Ortiz, and then you have the Boots Ennis Vergil Ortiz fight happen second half of 2026 for a unification, then I could understand that situation. But passing up on Boots Ennis simply for Errol Spence, it makes no sense to me. I don't want to see it, and I hope we don't get that fight. Next, at least. All right, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn will reportedly be splitting 18 million euros. Chris Eubank Jr. will reportedly earn around 10 million euros or 13 million US in his rematch with Conor Benn this Sunday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, while Conor Benn is expected to pocket 8 million euros, close to 10.5 million in the United States money for the all-British middleweight clash. Big pace for both these guys, and I think that's a large reason why they're both doing this fight. there was, and I always said this in the build-up process, there was never going to be a fight for either man, except for maybe Chris Eubank Jr. versus Canelo Alvarez, that would ever even compare to the payday they're going to get in this rematch. They are well deserving of this payday. The first fight is the fight of the year. We all want to see the rematch. It's going to be exciting. I know there's more hype in Britain than there is in America, and it makes obviously sense for that. But listen, I just want to spend a second here and say this. Let's not take for granted Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Both guys are pushing themselves to the limits in this fight. For Conor Benn, he's going up multiple weight classes once again to go make this fight happen, while Chris Eubank Jr. is weight draining himself significantly to make this fight happen. Yes, both guys are getting paid massive amounts, and that's fine, rightfully so. But especially after the first fight, which far exceeded all expectations. They gave us the fight of the year in the very first fight this year. These two guys, all British Showdown. They're two fathers with the history they have. Now the son's coming up, both becoming successful boxers and showing down in a stadium fight in the UK. It's hard to top that. Very few fighters can possibly top that. You're on a couple handfuls there of fights that could possibly top what we're going to witness this weekend. And I think as fans, we need to sit back and say, you know what? Let us go out there and enjoy this fight. This is going to be a big showdown in the UK. Enjoy it while it's here, because I don't think it's not going to be a trilogy, most likely. This is the final one. Both guys will go on their own ways, will part ways on this aspect. They'll go to work on their own careers. Let us embrace these two guys that gave us a war in the first fight, gave us one of the best fights, not just even of this year. It's the fight of the year this year. We know that. But one of the best fights that we're going to see and have seen in a decade, 2 decades, maybe even call it the century. That's what they gave us earlier this year. The rematch goes down this weekend. As boxing fans, let's embrace these two guys that went to war for us in the very first fight this year and embrace this weekend, because I think it's going to be an incredible fight. I also want to say this. It's now come out. We have more details now. It's not 100% confirmed news, but here's what we have heard. And this is according to Mike Coppinger, obviously with the ring, the man that's announced most of these fights anyways. He says this: Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua will be a real pro heavyweight fight, not an exhibition. Wow. It is slated to take place on Friday, December 19th. It will be on Netflix. All I can say is this. Hats off to Jake Paul. This man has been ridiculed by boxing fans his entire boxing career. And I get it. I'm not going to say it's not worth it or I don't see the reasoning behind it, but he's been ridiculed. I've been honest about this. Jake Paul is good for boxing. Hate me for saying that. It is a fact. He is good for the sport of boxing. And what I can say right now is this. Whether you want to call it stupidity, or you want to call it something that, okay, it's actually a fight we want to see, let us give respect to Jake Paul. Now, I don't know how this fight's going to go exactly. I do believe it's going to be a legitimate fight. It has to be now that it's going to not be an exhibition fight. He might be seriously hurt in this fight. And for that reason, you could say this would be a stupid decision for Jake Paul. That being said, we at least have to give the man credit where credit is due. This man is going to go out there and fight a former world champion at heavyweight, one of the best heavyweights of this entire generation, in what will be a very appealing attraction for many fans to go out there and watch. He's risking legitimate health in this fight, and it's going to be a legitimate heavyweight showdown. Jake Paul is moving up into heavyweight to fight Anthony Joshua. It is one of the craziest things you could ever fathom or say, and all I can say is this: hats off to Jake Paul. Because there's not many men that would be willing to step foot in the ring with Anthony Joshua, moving up weight classes on short notice. It's not many guys out there that's going to be doing this. I understand the bag is massive for this fight, but give credit to Jake Paul. And I also want to throw out there, I'm not sure how much of an influence the whole Netflix deal had in this, but I'm sure Netflix did put pressure on Jake Paul, saying, okay, Tank Davis' fight was not selling well whatsoever, and obviously we got to move on from Tank Davis. Give us a big fight. And I'll be honest, they found one of the very few options that could have far exceeded the Tank Davis fight. This is far bigger. And so I will give Jake Paul his proper respects. He is going out there. He is going to go fight Anthony Joshua in a real heavyweight showdown. Hats off and much credit and respect to Jake Paul, because he deserves it for this one. And hopefully he also makes it out okay and healthy from this fight. Floyd Schofield says he wants the Tank Davis fight for the WBA. And now let me be honest about this. There is an interesting situation going on with the WBA belt at 135. Gervonta Tank Davis currently possesses that belt, and there's a lot of people calling for him to have to lose that belt for various reasons, all of which I can understand. Now, here's what I'll say. If you're Tank Davis, either go make a fight that we all want to witness you go out there and fight, or he's going to have to take this Floyd Schofield fight, which I think is interesting. Now, do I think Floyd Schofield is ready to go out there and beat or even fight Tank Davis? Not really. I like Floyd Schofield. I think he's going to be a world champion one day in the future. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's trending in the right direction. But it's a very tough matchup for Floyd Schofield against Tank Davis. Now, this is a man who obviously went out there and did wonders on Tevin Farmer, blew everyone's mind with the way he performed against Tevin Farmer. And I'll just be honest. Could he shock the world with Tank Davis? Sure. It's possible. It's boxing. But Tank Davis will be the heavy favorite in this fight. But this is what Floyd Kid Austin Schofield wants. He wants Tank Davis. And I'll say this. If he wants it and Tank Davis is going to get himself in line to be able to fight again, let the fight happen. Let's see what the kid looks like. He's young. He's ready. Obviously, earlier this year, he had a shot with Shakur Stevenson, and then everything fell apart medically for himself. If he's ready for this fight and he wants Gavron to Tank Davis, let's give him the fight. Let's see what it looks like. Tank needs to get back in the ring as well. Obviously, Lamont Roach rematch is off the table for the time being. He's not fighting Shakur Stevenson, who's now lined up with Teofimo Lopez. So all of his options are thankfully taken for himself. He's got to be happy about that. Go make the fight with Kid Austin if you still are going to box, or go and retire and relinquish the belt, and Kid Austin will then become world champion. So lots of things are on the table with this one. I'm happy for Kid Austin going out there and calling Tank Davis out. I'm all for it. I'm not big. I honestly would like to see the fight happen, not because I think Kid Austin upsets Tank Davis, but just see where Kid Austin's at. I'm intrigued by this guy. I think he's a very good up-and-coming prospect, a man who could become world champion in the future. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, Kid Austin does want the Tank Davis fight for the WBA. With that being said, I don't see any comments in the chat for today, and I said today was going to be a short show. So I'll be back live tomorrow. It's going to be a much longer show because there's going to be Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, and that entire card will be broken down on the show. Also, Rafael Espinoza, his card is going down this weekend on Saturday as well. That will be broken down on the show as well. And then, of course, we're going to get into some boxing news as well. So that all will come forth tomorrow on tomorrow's show. And I hope you guys have a great rest of you guys Thursday or start to you guys Friday. And I'll see you guys back live on tomorrow's show. May God bless you guys all. Have a great rest of you guys' day. And I'll see you guys back here live tomorrow. God bless y'all, and SchuZ out.